people are going to buy, all things being equal, they're going to buy from someone that they feel connected to. At the end of the day, emotion is what sells. And a lot of times people think it's like logic, like telling them the features and what they're going to get. No, it's what they're going to feel. We're motivated by eliminating pain and having something better to gain.
Welcome to the Impact Driven Entrepreneur, the podcast that helps you expand your reach and convert that reach into clients so you can lead your tribe with confidence and create change in the world while living the life you desire. And now your host, certified business coach and consultant, Mariana Ruiz.
Welcome to the Impact Driven Entrepreneur. Today I have Dr. Lizette. She is a client attraction specialist, and we're going to be talking about the psychology of attracting clients. Lizette is an incredible person. We've been on and off in connection for the last couple of years. And what she does is she helps ambitious women to set up with confidence in their zone of genius and create an in-demand brand and attract clients using proven psychology strategies. She's actually a doctor, and it's Dr. Lizette. Welcome to the show, and I'm so excited to chat with you.
I'm so excited to chat with you as well. And you can call me Lizette. You're special.
Thank you. Okay, so tell us a little bit about how you ventured off into the entrepreneurial space. I think we came on like pretty close around the same time together. So tell everybody listening kind of like how you transitioned, like what caused you to come into this space and how that was for you.
Yeah, so where do I even start? Well, like you, I had babies that were born premature, 3 months early. And so that really made me think about, okay, what do I want to do with my life? Because it was just a moment of truth in terms of how precious life is and how it could be taken away from you at any time. So it really made me reflect on what I wanted in my life and for my children now that I had them. And so I had been dabbling into the possibility of doing online coaching. I had done some of it in person, and I have a private practice as well as a psychologist in which I was doing some career counseling and coaching along with psychotherapy. But I was excited about the idea of taking it to another level in terms of the freedom that it could provide me by taking it online, where I could be anywhere and still serving, and then I can serve at a greater capacity as opposed to just one-on-one. And of course, the financial freedom that would bring as well. So that's how I got started. I love doing a lot of different things. Right now, I'm also a tenured professor, and I do still have clients in my private practice as I'm applying my expertise in psychology to help women online really get to know their ideal clients and use psychology to attract them without having to come across as icky, sleazy, salesy, all that stuff that nobody likes.
Love that. We are totally on the same bandwagon there. So what are some of those psychology things that we can use, right? Like, so my audience, just so you know, is like impact-driven entrepreneur. So they're mostly like really heart-centered and really want to help others and serve. And so when it comes to sales, there's usually some blockages there. When it comes to like, they don't want to feel icky and they want it to be smooth, right? And we want to kick off the coaching relationship as cohesively as possible, right? Because we want to really start on the right foot. So how can somebody even start with that?
Yes, that's one of the biggest things that I see a lot of women that I end up helping encounter. Wanting to be of service, but not wanting to be pushy or like put anything in front of people. And what I often end up telling them is that when you come from a place of service, the sales will just naturally follow. And so focusing on building connections rather than conversions, because that will eliminate some of the sense of desperation that you may have in terms of when you're focusing on a sale, and people can feel it on the other end. And so it doesn't feel good for you, and it also may prevent you from achieving what you want, which is to serve and to make an impact and to also make a nice income along the way. One of the things that I was telling somebody the other day was the importance of connection. I can't say how important that is enough. And I'm sure you've had people go into your inbox on Facebook and just say, hey, look at my product. And you don't even know who they are, where they're coming from, or they don't even know if you need it. And This is such horrible practice. I have no idea where they're learning this, but people are going to buy, with all things being equal, they're going to buy from someone that they feel connected to. At the end of the day, emotion is what sells. And a lot of times people think it's like logic, like telling them the features and what they're going to get. No, it's what they're going to feel. We're motivated by eliminating pain and having something better to gain, especially pain, because that's going to trigger a sense of urgency, because the pain is real and it's right here, right now. They can feel it and it doesn't feel good and they want to have it gone. And so when you're really clear on what these pain points are for your ideal clients, and you're able to really understand how you come to the table to make an impact in their lives and to help them live their life their way with whatever it is that you are specializing in, then you come across as a person who wants to make an impact. I tell women to act as if you have the cure for cancer and you've got a special dose of it like nobody else can provide. And when you step up with confidence and claim that transformation that nobody else can do, quite like you've got a special process and that it is integrated with your personality, right? There could be two people who do the same thing, but there's something special about you and how you do it. And when you understand what your ideal client needs, how they feel, what their thoughts are, then you're going to be better able to position yourself as the best option for them. And that's understanding the psychology. What is going to motivate them to act? What is going to motivate them to buy? What is the pain that they're feeling? How is it affecting them? What is it causing them to do or not do? And why are you the best person to help them with it?
Love that. Okay, so you're saying that we want to focus on like what is the pain point for the ideal client, and they're motivated by pain and gain.
Yeah. Both of them are really important.
Yeah, when you said that, it really stuck out to me. So do we want to like use their imagination, right? Like connect that to an emotion? How do we go about that?
Mm-hmm. So for example, let's say somebody is a new mom and they are really frustrated with the baby weight. And so what is the problem? Okay, the problem is the baby weight. That's the problem. The next thing you want to think about is what are the thoughts that are going on in her head in regards to this problem? I'm ugly, whatever it is. All right, those are the thoughts that she has. I'm unattractive. What are the feelings attached to it? I feel like my self-esteem is suffering, right? I don't feel very confident. How is it affecting her behavior? What does she do and what does she not allow herself to do? Does she still wear her maternity pants like I did for a month afterwards? Or is she not allowing herself to go to the beach and wear a bikini? So you see how I address all three components? The thoughts.
Yeah.
What does she think that this means about her? The feelings. How does it make her feel? And the behaviors. What does it make her do or not do?
Love
So you got to really, really be clear on what that looks like for your ideal client, because then you can speak to that in your content, in your messaging, in your videos, everything. And then figure out what it is that is different about you. Like, what are other people doing out there in your area of expertise? And what are the gaps that you can fill? And present that to them, because people want to feel like they're getting an exclusive experience. They want to feel like they're special. And so when you show them how you understand them, that you can relate to them, but you also know how to help them, they're going to be more likely to come to you. And in terms of the pain versus the gain, a lot of times people make the mistake of only focusing on the pain. Yes, that's important, but then there's a sense of what now? So after the pain has come to the forefront, you really want to help them imagine what their life would look like after it's gone. And then the other mistake that I see a lot of people making is just focusing on the dream, the feel good. And I don't recommend that, because that is off in the distance. It's not right here, right now, like the pain is. The pain is real. It's something that they're experiencing right now, and it's going to trigger a sense of urgency to get rid of it as soon as possible, assuming that they've gotten to a point where they want to do something about it at this point. But if you just focus on the dream, they may, one, not believe it's possible for them because it's so far in the distance and they haven't gotten a taste of it yet. So you want to make sure that it's something that is believable to them and that they see you as someone that they can relate to, that understands them. Maybe you've gone through it too, or maybe you've helped tons of people go through it too who are like them. That's the key thing. They need to be able to feel like they can relate to the people either that you've helped or you as an individual who's gone through it too. Otherwise, they may feel like they're not going to be able to get helped by you. Does that make sense?
Totally. I totally felt that like when I was a health coach, as you can probably tell, I'm a little bit of a high achiever. So like when I lost weight, I lost 80 pounds and people were like, oh my God, you must be superhuman, right? Like,
yeah, that's amazing, by the way.
Thank you. But like people really struggled to relate to me. And so I definitely learned that early on, right? We have to still be relatable and down to earth and just share the real struggle, right? Because even though I had lost 80 pounds, there were still moments of decision that I had to make about food, right? And there were still difficult moments where I didn't want to go to the gym and all that, right? So I think whatever you're doing, just remembering to be real, I think helps with the relatability. Would you agree with that?
Oh, most definitely. Because if you come across as too perfect, it actually pushes people away because they can't see themselves in you. They can't relate to you. And that's why live streams do so well nowadays as opposed to those pre-recorded ones, because they can see the human side of you. And it's possible for you to still be an authority while demonstrating some vulnerability. Maintaining your credibility is still possible throughout that process.
Yeah, can you talk about that for a minute? Because I was talking about that with one of my clients this week where, you know, there's kind of like a fine line between being an authority and also being vulnerable. Like, how can somebody kind of manage that so that they can have both?
Yeah. And you know what? Speaking of vulnerability, I will admit that I went through this myself as well. We all have these crazy thoughts in our own head. And, you know, I'm a psychologist, but I'm not immune from this. And I talk about that quite a bit. In the beginning, I was like, okay, I have to come across as really professional or else nobody is going to take me seriously. Like, this is how a doctor is supposed to be. And I realized very quickly that it was actually not getting me the results that I wanted. And once I started being more open and using my personal experiences as stories that my ideal clients could relate to, that showed that I was human too and kind of how I dealt with some things, that's when they started to relate to me a lot more. Story is so powerful. And in fact, I recommend that you integrate it as much as possible into your content, into your messaging, because our brain soaks up stories. It's the best way to remember someone. It's based on the story because there's an emotional trigger that goes on there, especially if they can relate to it. So make sure your stories are relatable to your ideal client. But once I started doing that, like, people just started telling me about how inspiring it was and how liberating it was. And I realized that I can maintain my sense of authority while also being okay with being myself. Because I'm not perfect, but you don't have to be perfect. You can still be very good at what you do and still be human.
Totally.
Yeah, and it really bothers me when people like paint these pictures of how easy it is to make 6 figures in 6 days, and it makes people feel like that can never be possible for them, and they don't see the back end. They only see the front stage, not someone's backstage struggle. They only have like a front row seat view. They don't have a backstage pass to things that they've gone through. And so I try to be very open as to things that I've gone through so that it could help them realize, hey, you're not alone. This is normal. So that's my philosophy.
I love that. So there's 2 things that brings up for me that I want to talk with you about. So one of them is, how has it been? Like, you just recently had a baby and you also have twins. So like, how has that kind of changed your business here in the last few months, and how are you coping with that?
That is a great question. And, you know, I am an overachiever as well. I try to do #all the things, but I have to be real with myself and realize that I can do anything just not everything at the same time. So I had to get really clear on what it is that I wanted to do given my current stage in life. Right now, I have 3 little ones, ages 3 and under. I will never have that again. My business will always be there. If it means taking on fewer clients, so be it. I will never gain these precious moments with my kids anymore. And I had to be okay with that. And I am okay with that, recognizing that I had to restructure some things, not being able to take on as many exciting opportunities. And something that I really advise women is to think about, if you say yes to something, you're automatically saying no to something else. And be okay with whatever that no is, even if it's Netflix, even if it's a nap.
Mm-hmm. And sometimes a nap is like so needed.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. And so whenever I'm about to make a decision, I give myself 24 hours, depending on how big of a decision it is and how time consuming, how much of a commitment it would be. And I say, okay, if I say yes to this, is it moving me forward or backward in terms of my immediate goals? And if I say yes to this, what am I automatically saying no to? And so that really helps streamline my decision-making process and makes it a lot easier. That way I can just make a decision and then go on with my life. But you know what? Right now, I am okay with my main priority being my kids. My baby's now almost 4 months old. I'm like, where did the time go? And so that's okay. I'm at peace with that. And I know that this is not going to be forever, and I'm enjoying it while it lasts.
I love that. That is such a great attitude.
Yeah, thanks.
And I also totally agree, right? Like, what's really going on behind the scenes of a 6 and 7 figure business, like one person cannot do, especially overnight. And I think we're being shown a lot of these overnight success stories. And one thing I always say on the podcast is success is 10 years in the making, right? Like, there has been 10 years of prior work before somebody is able to make it quote unquote big, right? And you don't see the previous 10 years. You don't see everything else and all of the sweat that goes into it.
Definitely. I just got an image of an iceberg, how we don't see what's under the ocean. Like, you don't see that building up. You only see the tip, but you didn't realize how much work had to be put into creating that structure.
Absolutely. That's such a good analogy.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. And also, I know you were over in Houston with the hurricane. So, like, were you guys okay? Like, were you guys affected? What happened with you guys there?
Yeah, well, our street got flooded and my yard did as well. And for a minute there, I thought my cars were going to get flooded. We were stranded for a few days, lots of peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. But other than that, thankfully, everything was okay. I can't complain. It could have been worse. A lot of people lost everything. So thankfully, we were okay. Thanks for asking.
Yeah, you're welcome. I'm so happy to hear that. Okay. So, sorry, that was like totally random, but I was legit thinking about that still. Okay, so what else do you think is another important pillar, right? So, like, somebody's starting their business, obviously the mindset things around how quickly to expect success and like what your priorities are, how they spend their time, and also like really drilling down that ideal client are probably some of like the things that I think would be great to take away. Is there anything else that you're like, yeah, we need to talk about this?
Yeah, the foundation piece is really important. I know a lot of times people are eager to build their website or start a complicated funnel, but they haven't done the foundational pieces that you need to have in place in order to be able to do all that. It's kind of like building a house without the frame. Mm-hmm. You need to have that in place. And of course, we're always evolving for you, your business, you rebranded and it's always evolving, but you got to start somewhere. And I see a lot of people trying to do everything for everyone at once. And it's really important that you focus on one thing. Ask yourself, what is it I'm really passionate about? And among these things that I'm passionate about, what is it that I'm good at? All right. And from there, what are some things that people would be willing to pay me for that I love to do and that I'm pretty good at? And then from there, figure out what is it that they need, this target market that you've identified. really get inside their head and their heart, like we talked about. Understand them forward and backward. What is it that they need? What is it that keeps them up at night and consumes their pretty much every thought throughout the day? How do they feel and what do they want instead? And then you'll be able to understand what it is you do, who you do it for, and how you do it differently. It's really important that you figure out what's going to make you different. And I see a lot of people get stuck here because they're like, oh my gosh, I have to like be amazingly different. And that's not the case at all. Like just yesterday, I went to go get my eyebrows threaded. Have you tried that before, by the way?
Yes, I love it.
Yes. And it was a new place that I went to. And after she threaded my eyebrows, she did like a mini massage around my, like the points around my eyebrows. And nobody had done that to me before. And all it took was 30 seconds of her time. And she's won me over. Like I'll be going back there because of that little thing, because that's how she stood out, because she made me feel good. And people want to feel good. And if you make people feel good, you better believe that they're going to come back for more. What does that mean? More clients for you, more, business. So it doesn't have to be something extravagant. It could be something as little as that.
Love that. And I think like Seth Godin says something like, instead of being good, be remarkable, something like that, right? Like what is one small thing we could do to like really just go above and beyond?
Let's see. One of the things that can be really difficult for a lot of women is to be opinionated because they don't want to isolate anyone or like hurt anyone's feelings or push away anyone. They want everyone to like them. And the truth is that if you are liked by everyone, you're just going to blend in the crowd. And it's so crowded. You want to be able to stand out. And people are searching for a leader. They want to be able to understand what it is you stand for and that you stand in confidence. So I really believe that you should be really clear on what it is that is different about you. And if you have different ideas, then speak them out. Yes, it's going to repel certain people, but it's going to compel those that you were meant to impact to follow you even more. Yes. I know that the greatest live streams that I've done have been the most controversial. And haven't always been comfortable with that because I'm like, everybody, I want them to like me. But I'm not going to be remembered if I don't stand for something. If I try to be everything for everyone, then I'm going to end up being nothing for no one.
I love that. And I want to just share a personal story. And I actually wanted to share this with you because you're one of my friends. Recently, I had somebody who has been following me for a long time post that they were white supremacists. And I am Hispanic. And they posted this article all about how, whites were better than every other race. And I felt really, really hurt by that. And I had always kind of wondered, like, why didn't this person hire me? Like I had done free coaching with them and I had done all this stuff. And it's like, you know what? No matter what you do, like me sharing more openly about being Hispanic would have been able to polarize her sooner, perhaps, right? Rather than like dancing around and me wondering what was quote unquote wrong with my sales efforts, when in reality, it had nothing to do with that, right? So I think going forward for me is like, I am going to be more confident and more outgoing about where my heritage and my background, right? And I think even more so is like, ultimately, I really don't care because at the end of the day, it's like you said, right? If I polarize them early, I can then really bring in the people that are a good match for me.
Oh, I love that. I love that so much. I'm so glad you shared that because I actually resonate with that a lot. I've been sharing more about my own background. My parents are Mexican immigrants. And at first I was like, oh my gosh, is this going to push people away or is it going to make me come across as too different, or maybe they have assumptions of what immigrants are like? I don't know. And I was like, you know what? This is who I am. I've defeated the odds. My high school counselor thought I should go to beauty school instead. And I've got a freaking PhD. So I feel like by sharing that, it inspires other people to believe in themselves and to not let anyone tell them that they can't do what it is that they want to do. And so I've been putting that out there more because I don't know about you, but like sometimes I can pass. I could be racially ambiguous. And some people say I don't have much of an accent. I think it's right there, but whatever. And so I'm more open about that. And at first I was like, is this even relevant? Like, should I even be talking about this? Like, I should keep it all business. How is this related? But it comes down to that emotional connection people want to have with you. And so, yeah, I encourage women who are listening to this to identify what is special about you, what makes you unique, and what do you want to share with the world about who you are that you're really proud of. And just don't worry about whether you are coming across as too different or too this or too that or not enough this. Don't try to be like everybody else. Be you, boo. That's what I say.
Yes, I love that. And I think it's so empowering to just own who you truly are. And it can be, and I'm not saying it has to be, right, but it can be like where we're from. It can be that we are women, right? It can be our, background, right? Like you're a doctor or I was a nurse, right? Like whatever it is, just own it. Own that is your background and just move forward with confidence in that.
Yeah, exactly.
So I love that. I'm so glad we got to talk about this because I wanted to actually message you when it happened. And I was like, I know Lizette will be a supporter.
Oh, you should have done that. In fact, like one of my live streams that was the most challenging is when I talked about this stuff and it was the most viewed and it was the one that had the most comments. And so like, that's just a prime example of how when you stand for something, people are going to love that. And I'm sure I got a lot of unsubscribes or whatever, and I'm okay with that. You're just not my person.
Yeah, and I mean, if you can't accept me for who I am, then obviously we're not going to work together. Like, it just comes down to that, right? It's just not going to work out, right? So why dance around it?
Yeah, exactly. I used to get so hung up on unsubscribes and like when people would leave my group or things like that. Now I'm like, yes! It makes room for other people who I was meant to serve to come into my energy. And it releases those that I wasn't meant to serve. Yeah, so it's all about your mindset around it too.
Yeah, totally. Okay, awesome. So how can people find out more about you and connect with you further?
Yeah, you can find me at drlizette.com. That's DRLIZETTE. And if you are interested in a complimentary client attraction clarity call, I'd be happy to jump on the phone with you. You can apply at drlizette.com/apply, and I'll help you figure out what's going on and how you can attract more clients your way.
Awesome. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing all of your wisdom and being open and honest and sharing with us.
My pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome. So there you have it, another episode of The Impact Driven Entrepreneur. And I just want to thank you for tuning in and listening and really taking the time to invest into your business and really improve whatever it is that you're working on in your business. And what I want to do is if you found value in this episode, I would just love it so much if you could go to iTunes or Stitcher and leave me a rating and review. Let me know how you're enjoying the show so that I can go ahead and create more shows that match the things that you want, right? Like, what is it? I read every single review. So go ahead and go to iTunes or Stitcher or wherever your podcast app is and leave me a review and let me know what you want to see more of, right? Like, what are you enjoying? And I will bring you more of that. So I can't wait to hear from you. Have an awesome day. Bye-bye.